Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss the topic corporate governance of the syllabus. And let me start with the slide show. So we move on to the topic. Uh, First of all, we need to know why there was a need for corporate governance. So as we know in business world, there are companies, there are organizations which do business. Companies are founded, owned and managed by individual or a family partnership. There are government companies and few other type of companies, private limited companies and other corporations. And when these companies grow, they expand, they issue shares or rather equity to collect capital, and also at times they borrow debt to increase their capital. New equity holders also get voting rights as to who will manage the company. So there are two entities. One is company itself, and then there are shareholders of the company. So there are two parties. Next, on next slide we can see that the company founders choose. They have two options to control the company by themselves, or they manage the company by professional managers. So if the founders choose to manage the company through professional managers, then there will be three entities who will be running a business. That is company itself, which is an artificial person by law. Then there are equity holders, whom we can say they are owners. And then there is management, which is execution body like CEOs, CFOs, managers of different various departments and others. So there was a need felt that there should be a proper code of conduct for managing the companies, for managing the affairs of the companies. And in this view, corporate governance practices were introduced. So here there are three entities and their interest at times may be different. For example, shareholders may focus on growth of the company, whereas management or the employees, managers, they may focus on their salaries only. So there can be a conflict of interest as far as the three parties are concerned. The corporate governance helps these three parties to work in a uniform direction towards the development of the company. Now we move on further. So as you can see, corporate governance refers to a system by which corporations are directed and controlled. So corporate governance in a way is a system, is a method by which we can govern the organization. The governance structure specifies the distribution of rights, responsibilities among different participants in the corporation and specifies the rules and proceedings for making decisions in corporate. So, the corporate governance gives some guidelines how we can govern the organizations. We move on to the next slide, that is about the objectives of corporate governance. So the first objective is to align corporate goals with goals of stakeholders. So the objective of the company should be same as the objective of the stakeholders, those who are interested in the company. Next is to strengthen corporate functioning and discourage mismanagement. Next, to achieve corporate goals by making investments in profitable investment outlets. So it is the responsibility of people who are managing the company to invest in profitable ventures. To specify responsibility of board of directors, BODs, board of directors and managers in order to ensure good corporate performance. So this corporate governance also gives guidelines to the board of director and managers of the company. Next, what is corporate governance? So good corporate governance practices involve, there are few things which come under this corporate governance. The first thing is the corporate governance framework should protect shareholders' rights. So this is the basic idea behind corporate governance, that shareholder rights should be protected. The corporate governance framework should ensure the equitable treatment of all shareholders. That means there should be no discrimination between the shareholders. Next, shareholders should be involved in corporate governance. Now, this is very important that while making corporate decisions, there should be involvement of shareholders also. As you can see in various meetings of the companies, all shareholders are contacted and they are asked to vote for or against some decisions which are to be taken in the company. Next is disclosure and transparency is critical. This is important because many parties, many stakeholders are involved in the functioning of a company, and there should be mandatory disclosure of financials so that everybody knows how the company is performing. Next point is the board of directors should be monitored and held accountable for what guidance it gives. So this corporate governance practices also keeps in check on board of directors who can be monitored and what solutions they give to the problems can be checked. Okay. Now we move on further. Corporate governance is about minimizing the losses of value that results from separation of ownership and control. That I was earlier talking about was that there are three entities and their interests can be different. So corporate governance helps to minimize the losses because of difference in interest of the parties who are operating the company, that is owners, company itself and the management. It deals with the ways in which suppliers of finance to corporations ensure themselves of getting a return on their investment. So this corporate governance practices also ensure the ROI, which is again important for the growth of the company. Next, while corporate governance has been a hot issue in recent years, there have been certain scams which were also found, and due to these scams of Enron, WorldCom, HIL, and OneTel, again the need for corporate governance was strongly felt. So this was the reason why corporate governance came into picture, and now I shall stop the topic here and we'll continue with the next topic in next class.